Welcome to the Rocket Launcher Podcast. This is episode 48. I am your host, Supreme King, and joined, as always, by my co-host, and his name is...
It's your guy Obesis.
You sound raspy for a second. I'm like, what happened? you was fine for the past...
I was fine, and then I had to cough, man.
You was fine for like the past hour, and I'm like, what happened? Just as soon as I hit record, that's when the voice gives out.
My bad.
I'm like, what just happened?
Want me to cough all on the mic?
It's okay. It's okay as long as we're good.
I'm good. My bad. Yeah.
Yes, we are. On the doorstep of the summertime. I don't know if it's officially summer, but it feels like it, and I'm enjoying the weather. I'm happy about it. Things are heating up. Like
that I don't enjoy.
Shout out to Mortal Kombat. I want to talk about that first because things are heating up with Mortal Kombat 1. Apparently, I remember before in the past couple of weeks, I was always calling it 12. I was like, oh, they're gonna show off 12 because they were just doing like their celebration of their anniversary, and I think it was initially reported that they were going to show the teaser for 12. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, it's not 12, it's Mortal Kombat 1. They did like a Xbox thing, like Xbox One. They took it back, I guess, sorta, quote unquote. But I just saw the trailer right before we went live, I guess, just so I can be refreshed on it. I saw bits and pieces of it throughout the week though when everybody else was talking. But I officially saw the full thing just now. It looks hot. It was like a nice CGI trailer. The next thing you know, they just threw out all these fatalities and just made it like not safe for children, I guess, or whatever. Not safe for work.
Yeah. So what? It looked great. I love like the brutality of it. Like, I don't know, they're getting even just more brutal and everything, which you got to keep stepping it up, right? You're 12 games in now, probably more. Like, you got to keep stepping it up. It looks good. I know the storyline's all convoluted, so I'm gonna have to do some a little bit of research to figure out exactly. Because I stopped paying attention to the story. I'm gonna be completely honest.
But I mean, for some of the some of the noobs and some of the like Twitch type people and stuff, like now they ain't gotta pretend like they know what's going on. They can just be like, okay, it's a fresh start, quote unquote. I
think it's a soft reboot, but they should still know what happens in 10. That was the full restart, I think. The Mortal Kombat X.
No, they gotta watch the movie. They only gotta watch the movie and then
they should. You think he gonna be in there?
Nah.
You think he gonna be in there?
No. He was supposed to be in 11. Did you know that? Like they were holding out. They were holding out for him to be the last DLC. And because of the reception was so bad that they just decided to not do it. And just I think it was I forgot what it was called. Whatever edition that they did right before that, which had Arnold Schwarzenegger and like a couple other people, like that was like their big ending, and then he was supposed to be the last update. And then
they gotta put Cole in the game, man. I want to see it.
He was supposed to be at 11, and it just didn't do so well. So they were just like, all right, he's just not going to be a part of the game. And
you know what they should do?
Yeah.
In this one, they should make him the final fight when you do the climb the ladder thing, mode, the climb the tower mode and everything. And you get to towards the end, and you think it's like Goro or Shang-Chi or somebody. You think, or maybe probably in this one it'll be Liu Kang is the final one, and everything you're supposed to fight, but it's not him, and it's just like you beat him, and he's like, I was just the warm up. Here's your real challenge, and then Cole walks out like you're ready to go. That would be great.
The outcry, the chaos would be through the roof. But
they could potentially make him stronger. Like his whole thing could be like the less health he has, the more his hits do. Because if you remember in the movie, right, the whole point was supposed to be he has to take a hit to give a hit because he couldn't fight.
Yeah,
it was like everything was like he had to block until he could charge up. could be the whole thing. Is as you're beating him up, he's turning like red and red and red, and then like when his health is low, every hit is just like.
But until he got to the very end of the movie, slight spoilers, where he was just sitting there trying to punch the ice. He couldn't do it. It was just like he was so useless the entire time.
I always talk about this, and I talked about this with you, so that the people who see the movie, my favorite scene in this movie, it's just the part that caught me off guard, was right at the end when Scorpion's talking to him, right? And Scorpion is speaking Japanese. And they've never established at all that Cole understands Japanese because he grew up in Chicago as an orphan, right? So they've never said that he understood Japanese. There was never a hint that he would know Japanese. So Scorpion's just talking to him, long dialogue in Japanese. Cole's just looking at him and like nodding. But he doesn't say anything back. He just nods, and then like Scorpion walks away, and it's like I don't think he understood what he just said. Like he just and just let it go, like which I would have too if the demon ninja was just there. Like I was just like yeah whatever you said. I agree.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's gonna be in this particular reboot. That movie was technically. Like in its own universe, a reboot, I guess, if you think about it. But in this game, Mortal Kombat 1, I don't think he's gonna be in there, and I think that's gonna be strictly next gen. I don't even think they needed to say it, but yeah, that's gonna be strictly next gen. I'm sure.
Amazon did leak who the DLC people are, seemingly, or at least the first DLC. I won't spoil it for people who don't want to know. But they do got some fun names in there. The 3 of the characters who are like not Mortal Kombat characters, they should be exciting. Like I'm excited for them, and there's 2 of them specifically that I want to make fight each other, because they're basically they have relatively the same power set. So, I wouldn't even be surprised if they weren't skins for each other, to be honest, for those specific 2. But yeah, I want to see it.
I will say it's a little disappointing to know that they're still doing the DLC thing. I mean, I don't like hearing when DLC is already planned and the game ain't out yet, because in my head I'm like, well, just put it in the game. But I guess that's not gonna happen, but I'm not gonna let that take away from the excitement of it. I'm still excited to see it. 11.
I can tell you now. As of now, apparently it has September 19th release date, and PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC.
Nintendo Switch. All right. Do anybody out here really buy third-party games on Switch? Who does that? Y'all really do that?
A couple.
Man,
I bought Power Rangers, Battle for the Grid. I got that on Switch.
No way, man. I can't. Anything third-party, I can't. I can't.
I
even
did
do
for
it
a
there.
few of them because I wanted it on the more on the go, if anything. Like it was supposed to be something that I know. Like it was one of the games where I know if I turn on my console, or my PC, I'm gonna end up playing something else. Those are typically that'll be a third-party game that I would get on the Switch.
But you know what? That brings me to a topic that's not actually on the list, but I'll mention briefly. Like, that's where something like Steam Deck and the ROG Ally comes in for me. I don't think I would. I don't want the hardware to be limited. I need it to be excelling a little bit.
Keep in mind though, when I bought Power Rangers and any other AAA game that any other triple party game or whatever that I got for Switch, this was before these were even hinted at existing.
Right.
Like Steam Deck or ROG, these weren't a thing on anybody's radar at all. So now I don't think I would. It has to be a game where I'm looking at it. I don't think it's.
But if it's like the Final Fantasy pixel thing or a turn-based RPG kind of thing, 2D slide scroller kind of thing, I don't mind that being on the Switch. It makes more sense for me to put that on the Switch. With the exception of like
Skyrim
Persona.
For the Switch. I got Skyrim for the Switch. I get Skyrim on everything.
Man, so, like when I saw Witcher 3 on the Switch, it's like when I think about it, it's like yo, somebody really out there. There's somebody out there who has the complete version of the Witcher 3 on the Switch, and that's their only way of playing it. Or they chose to just buy it there because of maybe it was $5 less or something one day.
But I think there are technically not a lot, but there are some people that the Switch is like their only game system, right? Like think about it, if you're like a 13-year-old and your parents bought you a Switch and you're like, I want a PlayStation, they're like, no, you got a Switch. Like deal with it. Like you got the system, I got you.
Well, they got to make it work, and then they make it work, right? They come back to it later if they really wanted to.
Right. So they don't have to just miss out on The Witcher 3 because it's not optimized. Like it'll look bad, but at least like if they really want to play it, they get to. It's just
Yeah. Well, anyways, just to end the Mortal Kombat talk, highly, excited about it. I'm excited about it, but I'm not gonna probably buy it day one. It reminds me of Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4. It's like I'm excited about those, but like the games where they just drip feed you DLC, those two especially is like the fighters and stuff. It's like I want to have all of it all at once. I don't want to.
But that's the other thing. Not only do I want them all at once, a lot of fighting games release a version that has all of them.
Right, like right. Street Fighter 5 was one that come to mind, but yeah.
Yep. Street Fighter 5, every Mortal Kombat has a complete edition that comes out later.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion. So I've already decided for fighting games. I wait for the complete version.
Yeah. I think you mentioned Power Rangers. Power Rangers had one too. I still haven't got all the DLC on that. That was one that
Power Rangers did it dumb. I'm sorry. They're just multiple different complete.
They just threw stuff out there, and it was just like the Super Edition. I think was the complete one, but I had bought the game way before that, so I was kind of annoyed because I'm stuck having the game, and then there's DLC that I haven't gotten yet. So I gotta go take a look and see did they drop the price on some of it, because I'm missing Adam, Rita, that particular DLC.
I got
yeah. But other than that, we have a huge showcase that's coming up in just a few days. And that's the PlayStation showcase. They just shoehorned it in because I remember the Xbox showcase was having their June date, and this one was just announced, and it was just right before it by a couple weeks. So they pretty bold. It's like they're cutting in line. So maybe they got some heat. They got some heat, or they want to kick Xbox while they was down because of Redfall and the Activision deal still being held up here and there. Even though I think I didn't want to do another video on that. Like when they did I guess it was the EU, everybody was going on it got approved in the EU, and then I think just now it's being approved in China or whatever. It's okay, I'm not doing another video. I'll do another video when it's 100% finished.
Yes,
100%. At that point, the block in one area is okay, that's kind of a thing that it makes sense to do a video on because they got an actual block. But it's one area where they're blocked, and then all of a sudden they're not blocked everywhere else, and they're trying to appeal it, and it sounds like a long process. But once it's 100% finished, then I'll come back to it. Other than that, it's we're really doing this for Call of Duty. We can't just go buy Call of Duty. I got 4 or 5 Call of Duties. Pretty sure everybody does. But outside of that, back to the topic at hand. We're not going to be distracted here. We are talking about the PlayStation Showcase that's happening in a few days from now. I think by the time the majority of people listen to this, they would have probably already seen the showcase.
They said that it's going to talk about VR and PlayStation exclusives. That's what the show's focused. This is
I can imagine VR
over an hour long.
Over an hour. That's really interesting.
Yep.
Okay. VR kind of makes sense, but at the same time, VR right now is kind of struggling to the people. Which is
probably why they're doing it.
Yeah. It's funny because there was a picture that I showed my co-host y'all from a local mom and pop shop. Somebody had already sold their VR2. I was very tempted to get it, but I was just like, I don't think I want to drop the money right now. But they were trying to sell it for $400. And I was like, that's actually a better price, but it's used. I don't know. It's not the same as buying a used anything else. It's like somebody put their whole head in this, slobbed and all of it. I don't know.
I was going to say sweaters and everything.
Lice and all that stuff, man. Bed bugs, whatever. I don't know. So I was like,
why is there bed bugs on their face?
I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But you had to disinfect it. It's like, man, I don't know.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, so maybe you might catch a resale one for like $400, but just beware for the cockroach that's inside that thing. But yeah, PlayStation, like I still watch a lot of different games and stuff, like updates for games, because I'm doing certain game videos that's like a gazillion games in one video or whatever. Like I've done a couple of those so far. That's actually like really boosted the channel. So I want to keep that going. But every so often they will have like VR games, and it'll just be a bunch. Like they really do have a lot of VR2 games for PlayStation, and then just VR games in general. But what really stands out to me about that is there was this game called Unrecord that was like shot like first person shooter, and it's supposed to be like police cam footage, like chest footage. What is that called? The footage where they had that camera.
Body cam.
Yeah, the body cam. And like that particular game looked so real. Like I thought that was real, right? But if you look at a lot of PlayStation or just VR games in general, they end up looking like Rayman. It's always like, oh, here's these hands that's like floating, no arm. Here's your feet, no leg, and you're in VR, and it's like that. It's like first person Rayman. And I'm like, they should be looking like Unrecord. That's just kind of how I feel about it. Especially you spending like $550 for the system or $1,000 for like some like PC version. I'm like, every game should look like Unrecord. The Unrecord should not just be a regular like game on PC, and nothing else looks like it. But I don't know. We'll see what they got to say about that. What I want to see, which I said in a video that's going to come out maybe Monday or Tuesday, I want to see maybe some story-ish footage for Spider-Man 2. I imagine that's going to be shown because that's like their most immediate big game that's going to be coming out, right? I actually want to see gameplay footage. This might be a stretch, but gameplay of the Wolverine game. Something.
Okay.
30 seconds or something. Just Logan, slashing a couple people in the bar, maybe. Something. Yeah. Just some, like how it would look is what I would like to see. I want to see just a random new IP, just one at least, just something new. And I think also in the video I mentioned I want to see what the developers of Days Gone was working on, because remember they cussed you out because you didn't buy it day one, and then they're not supposed to make Days Gone 2, but they had to work on a whole nother thing. So well, what do you got? What do you got that's worth, cussing out the fans for not buying Days Gone or something? So that's what I want to see. What do you want to see?
So, since I know it's PlayStation exclusives, I'm avoiding some of the games that I would want to see, like a Persona 6 or something. The main things I want to see are Spider-Man 2, at least get a super solid release date and a little bit more like gameplay footage is what I would like to see. Specifically, something I think a DLC for God of War Ragnarok, or something of a continuation sort of thing for God of War Ragnarok. It'll probably focus around Atreus, but I would want to see that. And then the last one, I know it ain't gonna happen, but my little throw it out there into the universe is that Power Ranger AAA game to advertise for the 30th anniversary. Since this year's the
It
30th
wouldn't be
anniversary,
exclusive.
it wouldn't. But like, I can still throw it out there. It's like maybe like they do it exclusive. You know,
if anything, the announcement of a multiplayer shooter from Bungie or one of these random new studios that they didn't bought. If they have something to show, it probably might be way too early. But if they can announce like, oh, here's the name of the title, here's a teaser or something, maybe something like that, I wouldn't mind seeing. I will
they should
say
bring back the Halo killer. Try it again.
The Halo is the only thing that's probably. I don't think.
Was that Killzone?
Yeah, Killzone and Resistance is what people were saying, and then they didn't kill Halo; they killed themselves. But if anything, Halo is his own killer right now. I do think that with the Xbox show, you probably will see some shadow dropped content for Halo. I think they're going to do that at that show. There was two bold predictions that I had. I had that they were going to shadow drop the Forza Motorsport game on Game Pass at the show, and then also shadow drop just the content that was missing for Halo Infinite at that show. That's what I'm thinking as far as the Xbox show. I guess if we're talking about it now. Well, with the PlayStation show, I guess if it's over an hour, then they probably are going to show a lot of their heavy hitter stuff. If you remember, there was a direct that they did where they showed off like a couple exclusives that were just brand new. And one of them looked like it was a Japanese action RPG. I forgot the name of it. I think it started with an R. They just kind of showed it at that direct, and then that was it. I'm like, well, I was excited.
The girl in it?
I don't know. I did the video on it. I can't think of the name. I would like to see more from that, because they kind of just showed it. Do you remember when they first was talking about the system back in 2020, when they first revealed the system? They had a show where it was like this little girl, a cat that was like a robot, and like a dude in a suit. I think it was Pragmatic or something. I forgot what it was called. That game where they just like halted it for a whole year. Like they just released the graphic, was like, this is delayed to 2023. And then that was it. We never heard from him again. Like I would like to see more from that. Like where they was just like in space or something, and then just landed on the moon, and the dude had his suit on, but the girl, I guess, can breathe in the space or something. I remember just thinking like, what's going on here? But I forgot. I think, is it called Pragmatic? I forgot. It started with a P though for sure.
Pragmata.
Yeah. I don't.
Pragmata with MATA.
I don't think that one was exclusive. I think they just had like exclusive marketing rights. But I would just like to see what's the update on that, because now we're talking about 2-3 years later. So what's the update on that? That's crazy. This generation been that long, but yeah.
Yeah. On the PS5, like, I want to see that. I heard there's a rumor. So take this with a grain of salt. And I don't usually like to dive into rumors. I want to see confirmations. But there's a rumor that like a Metal Gear Solid is making a return.
Yeah, I think the rumor was that they were going to reboot it, and that was going to be the first game. I don't think.
I'm so sick of reboots.
I don't think that's it, because Kojima is supposed to be working on Death Stranding 2 and an exclusive for Xbox. So that would make it the third game under his wing. And I don't know how big his team is, but it just seems like that's stretching it a little thin though, unless they have the rights to the name of Metal Gear, and Kojima's not a part of it, and they just have a whole nother studio working on it, then I can understand that. But if Kojima, I would imagine Kojima would have been a part of it, and like he's doing Death Stranding 2 and the Xbox project, so it's like, I don't know. It depends on how big his team is. I don't know how big his team is, but if they can handle 3 games, then yeah, it might happen. If anything, it'll just be like, here's an announcement, you get it at the end of the generation. I could see that. But they've already like gone on record showing other games, Death Stranding 2 and the Xbox game. So I don't know. But yeah, I expect them to still show a lot of wow moments and stuff. A lot of stuff to get everybody, on their Twitter fingers, I guess. Yeah. Now the Xbox show, I think we already mentioned, or I already mentioned the stuff that I wanted to see or that I thought was going to happen, like the bold prediction of like the shadow drops. But I also want to see an actual release date for Hellblade 2. Because they've shown that a lot lately and it looks really good. And it was like one of the, better graphical looking games. I would like to see a release date for that. If Forza Motorsport is not like shadow dropped, then I guess the release date for that. The main thing for that show, the big thing is Starfield, right? We've already technically saw Starfield, but now they gotta really show Starfield because I guess it's supposed to come out maybe the same week as Spider-Man 2 or the same month for sure. But they've got to make sure they have a winner here, like one of those games that people keep playing forever, like Skyrim or something, because Redfall didn't do so good. It did not do good. Reception of it wasn't good. People did blow things out of proportion a little bit more because it was, Microsoft's name, Xbox name, but as a game, it does need to be really good. Yeah, go ahead.
I think also what didn't help was the fact that, and I think I mentioned this before, that like Redfall came out broken, not working.
Yeah.
And things, like I said, even promised on the box couldn't be delivered. Yeah. And then like immediately after Jedi Fallen Order also didn't work.
Yeah, I think Jedi was like 3 or 4 days before, though. I think that one was like 3 or 4 days before.
But that was the issue. It was like the big release. It was like, oh, it's not working. And then the next technically big release also was not working. And I think it suffered from some of the fallout from Star Wars as well. Yeah. Right? Where people were pissed at Star Wars, and then it went worse on Redfall as well.
Because somebody out there either had Game Pass or they bought it day one and bought the Star Wars game, and so they either potentially spent $70 twice or $70 and then $140 or $70 in the 15 with Game Pass. So you're looking at 85, 70 or 85, and or 140 or 85 plus tax on both. And it was not good. Just for it to be bad.
So, which is like why I think Dead Island 2, a lot of people I've been seeing has been praising this game because it came out working. Like, for all intents and purposes, I think there was a couple crashes for some people, but for all intents and purposes, it worked. Whereas, like, this game that was like, I don't want to say mediocre, but it was like, it's a zombie game, right? You know what you're going to get out of it.
Right.
But like, it released right by those two where it's like, well, then out of the 3, that's the best one because at least you can play it and everything. So, I heard the game's good. Check it out. I plan on checking it out at some point. But yeah, I think Redfall did suffer a bit from that.
Yeah, so Starfield, though, like Redfall, I remember even at that one show when they showed Starfield for the first time, I think the June show in 2021, they ended with Redfall, and it was just a game that they just announced. And that was a hot show and a hot year for Xbox, because I believe they ended that year with Halo and Forza. So they were putting out games and they had a good show, and then they increased their Game Pass subscription for a while. But then the following year was the year where the show wasn't that good, and then they didn't have first party releases in 2022, right? And then started the year strong, and then the middle of it was looking a little shaky. So this is what they could turn around the summer at least, because Redfall started things off bad. They could turn it around overnight if they have a hot show, a hot release during the show, which probably, like I said, was going to be the new Forza game, and then Starfield looks like a winner. You know, it was looking a little shaky in the beginning, because I don't know if you remember, like, the trees and the grass kind of looked a little old, outdated. It was looking real square shaped. It was weird. It was like, where are y'all at? But the concept of it was strong. It was like, hey, you can go on like a gazillion planets. You can actually have something to shoot. And everybody was calling it No Man's Sky. I'm like, but you got something to shoot though. No Man's Sky don't really got too much to shoot. But I can't say that 100% because they have like a whole bunch of updates for No Man's Sky.
Yeah, now the space battles are good. There are some things to shoot. I remember last time I played, I landed on a planet and got attacked by a swarm. But I will say those early days, at least when I played, there was not a lot to shoot.
It was really bare bones. Yeah.
But I will also say, so in terms of the Xbox show, outside of what you said, I mean, of course, you know, I would want them to announce a Power Ranger AAA game, even if it's exclusive.
You just want somebody to have. You know what's funny, bro? I guess I'll let the air out the back because it was going to be a surprise. But I've been researching titles, and there is a clone out there that is a Power Ranger clone. It's not AAA, but there's another clone out there that's clearly a Power Ranger inspired clone. They even got Megazords.
What's it called?
You gotta wait till I put my video out.
Okay.
But I do have the stuff.
So besides that, the other two things I would want to see, something about Elder Scrolls 6.
That would be interesting. I think they're gonna have to like. I think they're gonna like start showing that stuff once they have Starfield officially out. Cause I think because that's still the same. I don't know if it's the same exact team, but everybody was kept saying Skyrim in space or Fallout in space, and I'm like, well, you got to get the space game out before you can start making the next Fallout and next. At least that's my logic. I don't know. Maybe they can do it.
I want to see it. So Elder Scrolls 6, and then The Outer Worlds 2. So that one's really Fallout in space. So The Outer Worlds did do a Fallout sort of like style for game. This is Obsidian. So they did that, but the first one was great, and then all we saw so far for the second one was they had this funny trailer where it was a narrator describing generic first trailers while they were doing the shots, and then it said Outer Worlds 2. So I would actually personally want to see more Outer Worlds. I can wait for Elder Scrolls. As excited as I am for Elder Scrolls 6, I really want to see Outer Worlds 2 more so. So that was what I'm hoping to see from the Xbox show.
I think in my solo video that's going to come out, I also said I wanted to see more on Fable outside of it just being the screen or the I think they just had a title screen before and like a little bit of a trailer with like that Tinkerbell looking character that got ate by a frog. I was just like, all right, well, I want to see a little bit more of that. I remember there being mention of a possible 007 remake and a possible Indiana Jones game that was supposed to be like licensed to them. If those are still real, or if it wasn't just rumors, one of the two I would like to see. The way I see this show going, it's also supposed to be over an hour. It's supposed to be about an hour's worth of content of like a bunch of games, And then like the second show, it's 2 shows in one. The second one they're calling the Starfield Direct, which is like an additional 30 or 40 minutes of just pure Starfield. And so this might be roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours. And the last part, like the main event, is their Starfield. So they're really banking on it this time. And so I think it will be released. I don't think they're going to push it back. It just depends on what state it's in. It's going to be crazy. I think it would be brand, I don't know if y'all can even say the word, brand unalive. The S word, like, I don't even know if I can say it, but if they show a trailer or something and it's like the trailer, you could tell it's kind of buggy or it's kind of like frame drops and stutters, and because I think, like, if you remember Bayonetta 3, the trailer was kind of like that, where it was just like some issues and stuff, and the only thing that really kept Bayonetta's name going was just all of the stuff going on with the one actress, the voice actress.
Yeah.
But outside of from the promotional material, everything was kind of looking bad. It's like I think it would be the worst thing ever if they show a trailer looking bad or looking rough for Starfield. Like, they cannot afford to look at it or do that. Like, yeah, you have like super analysts who are like doing it for like console war fanboy sake, where they're just gonna freeze frame everything to try to find a like issue or whatever. But I think that trailer needs to be done like right now, and it needs to be watched by a bunch of people that are like high up. Like, they need to catch every nook and cranny and remove or fix something before they show that to the public, because like, they can't, like, this is them betting. It's like a sports bet of like a lot of money. Like, you cannot lose this. You cannot lose this. This is a big deal for them. Because if they mess up with this game, because of the magnitude of Starfield, it might take a majority of this generation to turn their name around. They might still put out some games that are good, you know, like Hellblade might still be good, or Forza, I think, is solid. I think, like, you're just gonna get Forza, but like Hellblade or Avowed was another one. State of Decay 3, like, some of those games might still be good, but it would take a collection of them coming out and being good in order to turn their name around. If Starfield is bad, I think that's how much weight it has right now, just because it has to save this year. Because Hi-Fi Rush was an awesome game, but I don't think it can hold the weight of the full year. Maybe the first quarter, but I don't think it, like Redfall was supposed to be second quarter, but it wasn't good. So it was one bad, one good. So the third one got to be the trifecta. That's got to be good. If it's two bad and one good, it's like, people are going to forget about Hi-Fi Rush being a good game. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. But I'll keep my expectation high. This is $1 trillion company. Throw money at it. You threw money at everything else. Throw money at it. Doesn't that work? If somebody threw money at me, I show up and do something. Hey.
Absolutely.
What you want me to do? I'll figure it out. You throw that kind of money at me, I will figure it out. 16-hour work days. If you throw me Microsoft checks, I will figure it out. Everything else gets turned off. I'll never turn on the PlayStation again if you give me that kind of money. But what was the last one? $68 billion? What? I'll figure it out. All you need to do is give me Windows 98 computer, a notebook, and a pen, and I will figure it out. If you handed me $68 billion. But yeah, we'll see. But I guess we can move on for that. 2 big shows back to back from, two people going to war with each other in a way, going to war financially, or not financial, like through the government, I guess. I don't know. They're going to war over Call of Duty, and they're going to war with each other, everything else. So hopefully we can see something good from them. I guess real quick, I'll jump to the middle portion, which is our unofficial sponsor, which is Epic Games. Epic Games and their free games and everything. Epic Games and sales. I mentioned last week that they had a mystery game instead of just like, here's a collection of games. So we found out what that game was. Unfortunately for me, I had already owned it twice. This is Death Stranding. So for somebody, this is still a big AAA game. Technically, it's still a big AAA game. Very good on graphics. It'll take a lot of gig space up for you. I don't think this was the director's cut version, though. I thought that was interesting. I'm like, why didn't they do the director's cut version? But I remember, yeah, they double dipped because with Epic Games, they've done this before where they gave out Death Stranding, that version. I remember we were talking about it before. Like, how come it's not the director's cut version? But yeah, so that is still available from now until the 25th. If you don't have Death Stranding, you can get this version. I'm not really too sure if there's like an upgrade path for it on PC. If they're doing that on PC, I know on PlayStation it was like $10. And then oddly enough, the PC version of Death Stranding was somehow in Game Pass. As silly as that is. But that was like an MLB kind of thing. But yeah, that's available right now. And then they have another mystery game. They're doing this again, where the next mystery game will be revealed on the 25th. So we don't know what it is yet. You got to just check back on the 25th. I'll tell you about that one next week. But yeah, those are the releases. So it's not a bunch of little games, but you'll be able to play that on, your devices like the Steam Deck if you get the ROG Ally, or, play on your traditional PC. I will also say I don't really have a bunch of sales, but I can say I did take advantage of a sale that was on Steam for Dead Space, the original one. Most of my old Dead Space games I had got on Xbox, but if you go under Steam, the original one from 2008 was showing as for I believe it was $4.99 for that. So you can go play that for $4.99 and then go play the remake for like $70, I guess, or $60, I don't know. And yeah, so that's there. I don't have any other sales. Do you have any sales, man? What's good with
Not a sale. However,
okay.
Epic is now also doing a thing. If you purchase games from the Epic store, you get 5% cash back applied to your account. That'll show up, like, I think it said after 14 days.
Okay.
So you can start making a little bit of money as you pay. That'll eventually pay for another game. So, of course, 5% isn't like much, but it's like 5% cash back is for credit cards too. But that's how Epic's doing it. If you buy it through them, they give you some money back.
Is that ongoing, or does it have until a certain date?
Now it's ongoing. I believe it's just what they're going to be doing permanently.
Okay. Because I know that will come in handy if you do some big purchases, like let's say for Black Friday. You could really squeeze out another little indie game, from your purchases if you buy a bunch of PC games. So that'll be
every time you buy something from the Epic Store, you'll get 5% of the value of your purchase back in store credit. So it's called Epic Rewards. You'll receive the credit for almost all Epic purchases, including games, apps, DLC, and virtual currency, like for Fortnite. And some subscription purchases are eligible too.
Now, shout out to Fortnite, because all of this is made possible by Fortnite. Because Fortnite has been paying for everything. Like, all the games from the unofficial sponsorship, every game that's been free, I can assure you that's coming from all the skins from all these kids. Like, they're giving them so much money that they're able to pay for, the actual games out there to just be handed to you for free. And I plan on playing a lot of these games on the Asus. I think I want to get it on there because the Asus has like its own little like launcher area on the ROG Ally, where it has like Game Pass, Steam, Epic Games, like EA games, like a whole bunch of that is like all next to each other. You just click it, and then your libraries are there. And so that looks very attractive to me. So yeah, shout out to Epic Games. I guess that's it on that. We can go back to the third competitor to PlayStation and Xbox. The third one is Nintendo.
They try.
They try. I give credit to Nintendo at least for a very successful release of The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, true.
So I do have my copy finally. Now, if anybody remembered, I said mine was coming in like 3 days late. So I do have it in hand. And I believe that particular game sold not only 10 million in a week, it was actually 10 million in the first 3 days. And so despite all of the craziness that we're going to talk about with them doing over the leaks, the game still sold well, and they should be satisfied with that, because if it did 10 million in 3 days, it's going to go ahead and do like probably 25-30 million overall, you know, in the lifetime of this generation, probably even more than that. But originally I was going to have gameplay footage of Tears of the Kingdom in the podcast, just a little snippet of something that didn't really show storylines or whatever, or story footage of just me running around in the map, you know. But Nintendo has still been running rampant lately with Tears of the Kingdom especially, and apparently they were on like a whole rampage of just like strike the channel now, we'll review it later kind of thing, because anybody who was like just watching footage of the game or like reactions and stuff or showing off footage or something, like they were just getting their videos taken down. It was kind of crazy, and I'm just like, well, I don't think I want to show any of this anyway if that's how they're going to act.
Yep.
People don't really need to see, like, there's no reason for somebody like me to try to sell you on Zelda. Like, if anything, you're sold on Zelda. If anything, I would sell you on the clones, like all the games that I've been showing lately. Like one of them was Ravenlock, where you had Dora the Explorer with Link's armor. Basically, that was day one on Game Pass. It's like, you know the actual Zelda games, but you didn't know Ravenlock. You know what I mean? So like, I would sell you on something like that, but I don't think Nintendo needs my help or anybody else's help, and they're acting like they don't want your help with a lot of, because they're so paranoid with this footage of just whatever, because apparently at the same time, just like what you said before, like the people who were going to like pirate the game were just going to pirate it anyway, you know, because not only have the people were able to pirate it, I guess they're already starting to mod it. There's already a 60 FPS mod for the PC version, I guess. And then people are like, you know, tinkering with the in-game stuff and stuff. Even though Nintendo had did like a crazy job of trying to strike and keep people from uploading footage, apparently the people who were getting that game online that were like 2-3 weeks early, like they were already beating the game before the official people got to play it. Excuse me. So like
wild. The internet does not wait.
Yeah, they didn't wait. And so I still just feel like Nintendo is doing too much with some of the stuff that they did, because they're not going to stop people from taking the game if they want to take it. Because if you think about it, like everything that happened to that Gary Bowser guy happened way before Tears of the Kingdom came out, right? And if people are still going to do that, like go get the game, play it, and mess with it, even though they know what you did to Gary Bowser, like I don't think that they're afraid of you, you know. I don't think that they are. Like maybe you could find one person and try to make an example out of them, but it's not going to stop the millions of people. Like I think it was like 4 million people or something that have like downloaded copies or whatever of it. It's like you're not going to stop them, or you're not going to stop the 2 or 3 million people who watch the movie on Twitter. Like if they wanted to do that, they were going to do that. It's just, you got to trust that the product is good enough where it will still make its official sales, and it still did. So the product was still good enough, you know? But yeah, so I will still show my Tears of the Kingdom footage eventually. It just will not happen probably for the rest of the summer. And it'll get to the point where, just like right now, there's Division footage on the screen. Like, it won't be in the title, but you'll just see the footage, just like how you're seeing Division footage, but there's not going to be any Division talk in the podcast. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but they need to calm down. Like, that's just so...
Well,
yeah.
Another side news, this one is... Well, so first about Nintendo. And it's funny because I don't know, I looked at these and I was like, I could just get them a different way. But you know what? And Nintendo's also, for Nintendo Switch, they're adding the 3 Game Boy Advance Mario games. So Super Mario Advance, Super Mario World 2, and Yoshi Island are all being added as well. So they're really just, trying to, I guess, fill out this Nintendo Switch Online stuff. It's weird that they're just like releasing them slow. Like, just throw them up there. But there was that. But then a side note that was more about Legend of Zelda.
Before you get to that, I'm sorry. Before you get to that, I just wanted to mention one thing for Nintendo. For these 3 Game Boy games, shout out to the Mayu Mini Plus and the Ambernick 35XX, I think it's called. The 2 Game Boys, basically. One of those games that you mentioned, the Yoshi Island, I think 3, or I think that was the one that's the most notoriously hard to emulate for certain types of devices. Both those devices emulate that game with no problem. Now with Game Boy Advance, like, I have the full library. Yes, I have the full library. Take it how you might think about that. Right. But yeah, Nintendo, stop drip feeding. Put the whole library up there. Put the whole library up there, including all the licensed games, like, immediately. Because, like, that's just silly at this point. It's silly. Just put it up there. Just put the whole thing. It would make their whole, like, online structure look so much more attractive. It's like, it doesn't make sense for all of these, like, randos to be able to do it on one of their websites, to the point where you don't even have to download it. You could literally play it from a cloud off of somebody's website. I've tried that before with like those type of games, as well as arcade games. Like, if you could play those from a cloud, I can give you a great scenario. Mother's Day just got passed. I know a lot of people that will go out to eat with their moms and grandmas and, like, family, and you go to one of these restaurants and you just got a reservation and you just sitting there, and eventually, like, the conversation stop and y'all still sitting there and you haven't even got seated yet, but you out and about. Literally, you could pull out your phone and go to one of these websites and play the games from their cloud. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be every last one of them. They'll just be there. It's not just Gary Bowser's website. It's like so many. So it's like, at least make it available. If you're going to be out here doing all this crazy stuff on YouTube and everything, at least make it available. Because, like, I don't feel like the Game Boy Advance as a system is solid. I thought it was a solid system. There was a lot of awesome titles there. But let's be honest here. Like, it's technology wise, it's like, homie, it's just the Game Boy Advance. like really, like, you just got 10 million in sales off of Tears of the Kingdom. Pay somebody for them licenses and literally put the entire thing online. Like Like, do it, because everybody else has it. You know, so that's my rant on that. We can keep moving forward. I don't have to like trash Nintendo for too long.
So, as a side thing for this one's on GameStop. Apparently on the day Tears of the Kingdom released, one particular GameStop, all the workers quit. So
wow.
They post like people were showing up. It was a city, Brighton, Michigan. They were
Was it a midnight thing, like a midnight release thing?
No, I think it was just the day of.
Just the day of at like 10 in the morning.
Yeah, so people were showing up, to go pick up their copy, and there was a note on the door that said, "Unfortunately, due to poor working conditions, the staff of the Brighton GameStop have decided to resign effective immediately. Management overworks, underpays, and underappreciates its frontline workers, sets unrealistic expectations, constantly threatens termination for any employee that cannot exceed them."
Oh, so they put it up there.
Yeah, to all of our loyal guests.
Yes.
Yep, to all of our loyal guests, we are terribly sorry for this inconvenience. We appreciate every one of you and your continued business, but I literally cannot pay my rent. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, please forward them to regional manager. They put his name, and district manager. They put his name, and then they put numbers? Their email address.
Oh, the email address. Okay.
GameStop didn't reply, but it was launch day for Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow.
So yeah, certain places had lines around the block waiting to pick up their copy, and this GameStop was like, no. But I think it was like a case where it was like the day they knew it was like going to release, and they put like a person or maybe two people into work that day. It was like figure it out.
That reminds me of when I went to a Subway, and the lady who was working there said it was her first week and she was panicking a little bit, and she was like put in charge of Subway at night by herself, and she was still in her first week of employment, and it was just like, okay, you're in control of the store, bye. And she had only been there like 4 or 5 days or something. And they had her there for like the rest of the night, and it was like 6 or 7 when I went in there. And she was in there from 7 till close, which I think was like 9 or 10. And so she was just overwhelmed. So maybe some of them be overwhelmed. I know, like, I was gonna say, like, it's funny I'm related to food. There's been times like when you would pull into like a White Castle, for anybody who has White Castle, it's 24 hours where I'm at. And like sometimes it'd be like 2 people in there, but like they're the only ones open overnight like that. And so they have lines wrapped around the building, and it's like literally 1 or 2 people who just gotta fill orders. It's just like,
so it seems like that's what happened. They did have to do a midnight release, and then whatever happened maybe at that midnight release, when the day started, they were like, nah, and quit. And apparently they were also mentioning how certain places had lines around the line, or like around the block. Some people said that this was the biggest launch they've seen in years. For like certain stores, and in other stores they had like hundreds of copies of the game, but had to turn customers away if they didn't pre-order it, because it was that many people trying to get this game. So
you know what also that reminds me of, I just thought about it, the Black Fridays in retail. Like sometimes retailers they'll hire people literally to work the holiday season, and as soon as the holiday season is over, they just fire them. Well, there's like an ongoing group of kids where they quit the actual holiday, but they've worked the whole time before, because they will get them in there, train them up for that one day, but they have them for like a couple months, because a lot of times they try to hire everybody in like September and October. And like they basically just will quit, like, because the work would be like quadruple and they're not guaranteed a job afterwards. So it's like, why would I work this hard day? I'll just collect the paycheck the whole time. And so really the corporations just got to do better. Stop treating the people like they're crap, and they won't do that. They won't do that. But yeah, GameStop has always had bad news here and there. It reminds me though, they remind me of TNA from wrestling, Impact, where it was just like GameStop, according to the people, should have been out of business like before the pandemic, and then like they just had like this random like super surge in like stocks for one day because of all of these loopholes or whatever was going on, and then everything went back to kind of normal, and it was just like, okay, I guess they're not going out of business yet, but I don't know. If they start having a whole bunch of bad news again, then maybe we might start hearing that kind of talk.
Could happen.
Yeah, I guess we can move on from that. I did want to do a quick update on what we would be considering the Game of the Year contenders again, because I actually decided to write these down this time. And so far, Zelda's one of the ones that just came out, which is probably going to be on that list. And then I also have Resident Evil 4 Remake on that list. Hogwarts Legacy is on that list. I'm thinking Dead Space might hit that list as well. And then the games that have not come out yet that I think are going to fill the final two is Spider-Man 2 and then Final Fantasy 16. I'm not sure, depending on how, if Starfield hits it out of the park, it might be in this list. But I don't know who else is going to be in this list.
Despite its shaky release, I still think Star Wars might make it. I did hear it's still a good game.
Okay.
It was just the PC release was the one I think that was like really bad. But I still think Star Wars might make the list still.
That would be interesting. You think that might be controversial? Or you think that
it makes the list? No, because most games don't work on PC on release. So I think it'll be okay.
Now when they do the Game of the Year, do they do 6 games? Is it 6 games they put in the category, or is it 7?
I believe it's 6.
Okay.
Could be wrong, though. Maybe it's 7. I don't know.
I feel like Resident Evil 4 Remake,
I think it's 7.
If it's 7, then Dead Space might still be in the category, but I think Resident Evil 4 probably boots out Dead Space, I think.
Okay. For me, also, surprise hit. I don't know. I probably won't make it, but surprise hit, Armored Core.
That might, I forgot. What's the due date on that? Do we know?
August, I think.
August. So that has plenty of time. Just depends on how good it is. That would be crazy, though, if they won back-to-back From Software. That would be that would put them way higher on the food chain.
Yeah, August 25th is the
Okay. So that's another game that's probably a bigger title. But see, that's the thing about that one. It's bigger from the name of From Software, which was built off of Souls games. Now they had
because I knew Armored Core before I knew what a From Software was. Like,
I was going to correct myself a little bit because I mean off of the popularity recently. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
The popularity recently is built off of the Souls games. Now, yes, there was a whole list of Armored Core games before Souls games was even shown, right? And then there's like a few games from like those older generations where they had like some of the formula there, like in the PS2 generation. But they really got their popularity out there to all the noobs, the streamers, with Elden Ring and Bloodborne. But yeah, I don't know. If it's a good hit, if it goes into the list, that would be awesome. I do think though that this list this year is so much more stronger than the past couple of years, because the past couple of years it seems like they were just throwing some stuff up there. Because even like I pretty much dismissed everything else when I was talking about God of War versus Elden Ring. I literally just dismissed everything else. I don't think you can dismiss everything else here. Like, it wouldn't make sense for me to make a video and say it's this game versus this game. It's impossible, really. You cannot ignore the rest of this list. There's like something, like each game had like a some sort of impact in a way, you know? So, yeah, but Yeah, we could probably move on. You want to tell me about Dead by Daylight? We got a lot of actual random updates. The biggest one to me was the Nicolas Cage thing, because I was just like, how is he like, he just Nicolas Cage? I guess it's just full blown Nick Cage. They just had his like high resolution face there where he's like got a mean face and stuff. I'm like, all right.
Nicolas Cage is coming to the game as a survivor.
Bro, missed opportunity though. Real quick, I know I might get canceled. It should have been Alan Baldwin. Isn't that his name? It should have been him.
Alan Baldwin? You're horrible. Yeah. He's not a survivor.
It should have been him.
He couldn't be the survivor. He would have to be one of the. I mean, never mind.
Yeah, he would have to be the. Yeah, it would have made more sense. Like, if we gonna throw some. All right, I'm done. I'm done.
Maybe they can add him in as the skin for one of the there's a shooter character. But no, they're also adding Naughty Bear. So for those that don't know, Naughty Bear was this game that came out in like 2010-ish that like got a small following on a PS3. So it only sold about 800,000 copies. However, it's what paved the way for Dead by Daylight. So Behavior Interactive, the people who made Dead by Daylight, are the people who made Naughty Bear. They just had a different name at the time. It was called like, what was it? They had a weird name, but they changed it. So they originally started as Behavior Interactive. Then they sold the company. They bought it back like by 2000. And they changed their name because it was still licensed to the other company to Artificial Mind and Movement. However, their acronym was A2M, and of course that has implications of other stuff. So you can Google it. Google if you don't.
You might not want to Google that in public.
Yeah, not in public, but go to Urban Dictionary and Google A2M, and you can see why they.
This is a family show.
But they're the ones who made Naughty Bear, which I didn't know that. So Naughty Bear was like Care Bears or like a storytelling thing, but it was about a bear who wasn't invited to a birthday party, so he just goes all psycho murderer and starts taking out all the other bears. But instead of like blood, it's stuffing, like because they're all teddy bears and the gruesome kills, but like everything's stuffing, and there's like some twisted narrator talking over the whole thing. Great game. Well, they're finally adding Naughty Bear to the game. It's going to be a character skin for one of the characters they already have, because his moveset would be the same, the Trapper. However, there's this thing called Mori kills in the game. So basically you put people on the hooks to like kill them. However, if you hook a person and they get down twice, you can then sometimes, if you equip a certain thing, like a special kill that's signature to the killer. So like for example, Ghostface, he'll like stab the person and then take a selfie with them and everything. So like it's like that type of stuff. Apparently, Naughty Bear will have his own distinct Mori. So he is his own like killer basically. So I might like with Nick Cage and Naughty Bear, I'm gonna have to jump back into this game.
If I'm not mistaken, though, with Naughty Bear, wasn't that the story? If I'm not mistaken, I think this might be the same game. Wasn't it originally supposed to be a Chucky game, and they could not get the license? And they just made them teddy bears?
I don't know if it's 100% true, but I could see that.
I think that might have been the story, because I know there was a game like that back in the day where it was supposed to be a Chucky game, and they couldn't get the license, so at the last minute they changed it to bears. I think that's the one.
So this one, it doesn't say that it was supposed to be Chucky. Like, it seems like they started with just they wanted to do this game, but it could have been. I can see the there's a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's still probably cool. It's gonna be cool. Yeah. There's a lot of different characters in Dead by Daylight at this point. Like,
yes.
And I remember, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it turns out Behavior Interactive or A2M, they've worked on a lot of like license-ish games. Like they were the company that many companies would outsource to. So they've done like all the Disney shows, a lot of movie tie-ins, a bunch of Nickelodeon show games, that bunch of stuff that was on the Game Boy Advance that would be like one-offs, like a Drake and Josh game, a Teen Titans game, a Kim Possible game, the That's So Raven game, like all of the like they're the ones that did that. So it makes sense that they like why they're so comfortable with using these different like movie characters and like Dead by Daylight, how they can do them justice and everything because they're used to doing licensed stuff.
Yeah. It also reminds me of the game that's supposed to come out that might be a competitor to this, which was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. You remember that?
Oh yeah, it won't. It won't be, but yeah. Well, they tried Jason. They did that Friday the 13th. That didn't make it.
Did Jason come out before it though?
Yeah, it did. And then got destroyed by it. But I think it can try and compete, which I don't mind the competition. Let's see it. But I think where the issues always lie is the variety that Dead by Daylight has, where the other games it's one person doing one style, versus Dead by Daylight you get to pick the style you want to play in.
They're basically doing Fortnite for the horror game. Like they didn't grab almost every horror movie you could think of, really, with the exception of like maybe Jeepers Creepers, probably because of like all the other stuff that had to do with it.
And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but
that's silly. Texas Chainsaw Massacre might as well have been a part of it though. That name was too big. Like it ain't big enough to be his own game. He could have just been a part of it. But yeah, I guess. Well, anyways, I guess we can move on. Anything else you want to say about that, or you want to move on?
I can move on. I'm excited for it.
Okay. I guess I want to mention this with I don't know if this is going to be brief, but you wanted to talk about WrestleQuest being pushed to the summertime.
Oh, this is very brief. So one of the games I was looking forward to this month, that was had just a May release, was WrestleQuest. It's like a turn-based RPG that's designed under the guise of wrestling, right? You make a character and you're raising up the ranks to try and take down Macho Man. Is the idea. Like he's the main character. There's a few legends here and there, like Andre the Giant, Macho Man, and a few of those, but it's mainly all original characters. And you're trying to like rise up the ranks. Well, they announced that they're pushing it back to the summer. I noticed that like I had to look it up because I was like, it's already the 19th and they still don't have a numbered release date. It just said May, and they just released on the 15th that they have to push it back till the summer. So
well, I feel like we in the summer, so you blink and it'll be out. So
yeah, so sometime around July or August.
Yeah, I do want to mention along with that, I guess, before we move on. Apparently, Samoa Joe from wrestling, if anybody is keeping up to this, there's supposed to be a Twisted Metal series, and he is going to play as Sweet Tooth, the main guy.
Yep. And which I understand. I think he's just the body for Sweet Tooth, and somebody else is doing the voice.
Okay. Well, it keeps him busy because I know he was having a rough time in wrestling lately for a lot of different reasons. So at least everybody's getting some work. Shout out to them. But yeah.
I mean, that's really cool. Hopefully this does bring back a resurgence to Twisted Metal and maybe some like car destruction games, because Destruction All Stars wasn't it. But yeah, it should be cool. I'm interested to see how much it's gonna focus on like Anthony Mackie's character as opposed to like the people want to see. But should be good.
Yeah. So what's up with like Power Rangers? You want to say something about Power Rangers?
So with the 30th anniversary, the comic book is really, of course, taking off, and the next event is a year-long event called Darkest Hour, where I guess there's some virus turning people into zombies. So they're going to zombie stuff.
Okay.
But like it's going. And then Hyperforce, the one that was the RPG, like the Dungeons and Dragons like YouTube series one. They have like, it was like they were doing Power Rangers Unlimited, so it was like little one-shot stories to lead into Darkest Hour. Hyperforce got one as well, so they are canon within the Power Rangers universe. Those that like to think that they're not, they're there. But yeah, they're for the 30th anniversary. It takes off with issue 110. There's had a whole thing leading up to issue 100, and now they're going to be going off into like their darkest and gruesome, I guess, story. One of the leading images was like a zombified like Pink Ranger bent like backwards and everything.
Oh man.
But yeah, so that's coming up for the Power Ranger world.
Well, shout out to Billy, because still in the Netflix show, he was a little gruesome himself. I don't know if you remember. He had some fatalities. Shout out to, maybe he was playing some Mortal Kombat. Maybe somebody was playing Mortal Kombat, because they had the Megazord doing some like ninja, like that. It should have been a ninja, the Megazord, because he was doing some sort of flip over. I'm like, yo, like, sis, what does the Megazord move like that? And then, Billy was like, Rita's distracted. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, oh man. So, yeah, they had, the same kind of fatality from when, Thanos got in Endgame, in the beginning, when he got in the beginning, So speaking of the MCU, like that transition, maybe
yeah,
not.
Yeah, it worked.
All right, what's going on, man? You saw the movie. You're gonna spoil it for us. I didn't see it, but you can go ahead.
I'm not gonna spoil it. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Okay.
I will say it was really good personally, and I'm not trying to overhype it for anybody else. So like personally,
okay.
It is in my top 5 Marvel movies.
Whoa, wait a minute here. It just came out now. There's still the Winter Soldier movie. There's still Civil War. There's still Infinity War. There's still Endgame. What we talking about here now? You know what I'm saying? You still got the She-Hulk series, man. What we talking about now?
Winter Soldier is my favorite, but the She-Hulk series, okay. But this is up there. It's really good, really well done. It is a trilogy. It's like a satisfying ending. The trilogy, leaving it open, and of course at the end. But there's things like that. However, I will also say for anyone planning to go see it, there was a Christmas special on Disney Plus that had that was focused on the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not gonna spoil that one for anybody, but it was like 46 minutes. Watch that before you watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Otherwise, there's a not major, but like a plot point that like you like, huh? Like, when did that happen? That was established in the Christmas.
Okay. All right.
And then there was little hints at the Christmas special, but that's why I wanted to bring it up to say the Christmas special was also really good. It was funny, but don't skip on the Christmas special. Watch that before.
All right. So the MCU ain't dead. They still putting out some bangers here and there, huh? It's not. Yeah. It's not back to back, but it's like every other one at least. Okay.
Yep, and this one I would say, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not back to back, but this one was
okay.
Top one. Side note: did you know Seth Rollins? Did you know Seth Rollins is going to be in the next Captain America movie?
In the movie as a henchman or something?
I think so, but yeah, he's going to be in there.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll see what he can do with him, and maybe he can curb stomp somebody. I guess, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they allow him to do. But cool. I was still in the category of Endgame was the last one. Maybe it won't be. I gotta wait until I completely forget about the Spider-Man 3 movie. Even though all I gotta do is just think about it and I already know what was going on, because I got spoiled like immediately by comicbook.com and a few other places. So I was like, man, well. But yeah, I know. I technically, like, I didn't want to just skip all of it. It was just like, as time goes on, you know how you just like forget about certain things, and now the MCU's movies are starting to pile up, because technically, like, if you stopped at Endgame, like, or if you stopped at, I technically stopped at I think it was Far From Home. Spider-Man. Like that was like directly after Endgame, like 2-3 months after Endgame. Like that's where I stopped. And so I know if you really think about it, it's like, okay, we got like 4-5 TV shows, and then you got like a bunch of movies, good and bad. So it's like, yeah, it's starting to pile up. I just been forgetting about it, but I'll watch them. Like once you start, even if I watch them once a week, you'll catch right back up really fast because they don't produce them that fast. So, but it's a bunch of them now. It's like the Shang-Chi, the Eternals. Then there's the Spider-Man movie with all the Spider-Mans, and then there was like Black Panther 2, and then like it's so many. I can't even. The Winter Soldier or the Winter Soldier TV show. I actually was watching. It's not Black Widow. It was Scarlet Witch's show. Scarlet Witch and Vision's show, and I stopped after like 2 or 3 episodes.
Oh,
I just kind of stopped.
Oh, it sucks because like it does start picking up.
Yeah. When they was doing that 1950 stuff, I was just kind of just like, okay.
It ties into the plot heavy.
Yeah, so. Like I get it was. I could kind of understand from where I was, what was kind of happening, because I know, and that's supposed to be somewhat a prequel to like the Doctor Strange movie too, as well. Yeah, it's a bunch of movies. Yes. It's like it's so much. It gets overwhelming after a while. It's like that's why in the video game world, when they say like you don't have to watch this or something or play this in order to play this, like I feel like some of them just be lying because they want you to buy it, but like when you really think about it, it's like, can you really go without seeing like all this stuff? Because like imagine if Marvel was to tell you that, and like the fans would be like, now you lying, like you can't tell somebody like you can't see, like you would miss like 10 plus years of Iron Man. You'd miss like all these Spider-Mans.
Yeah, you
like,
really cannot jump in. Like every single thing references something previous.
Yeah, it's just like, I'll just watch, this Loki show, and that'll be it. Yeah. Like what? You can't just watch the Loki show. You gotta, you gotta do all this other stuff. So yeah, it's a lot. But I actually at one point I think I had wrote down the timeline until they started coming out with even more movies, and I just kind of stopped. But all I gotta do is just go back to that, and I know from the WandaVision show I just go up from there, and I'll probably catch up. It won't be that bad. I know they got duds in the middle of it though, like Eternals and stuff. Yeah. So like, well, I'll just have to watch. But yeah, I think that's it, man. That's all we got. We gonna end it early again. Keep it nice, short, and sweet for the people. You got anything else you want to cover? Say anything?
No. Let us know in the comments, like, what games you playing. Did you start Legend of Zelda, or are you playing something else? I'm currently playing this game called Shadowfall. Or Shadowrun, something like that.
I was about to say, like, ain't that Killzone Shadowfall? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh, Shadowrun. Shadowrun. Okay. It's called Shadowrun Dragonfall. That's why. It's a turn-based like RPG, like third-based like grid. We have to move people around, but set in this. Best way I could describe it is like fuse Dungeons and Dragons with Cyberpunk, set in that sort of world.
Okay. I will say though, even though I'm like finding a whole bunch of new games to buy and wish list, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I think what I'm going to do is a really hard stop right there. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to start any more new games until I like clear out a lot of games before this game, because if anybody who really has been following the channel, right before this game there's like a list of PS3 stuff, like about 6 or 7 games, that whole list. And then there was like Control, Quantum Break, A Plague's Tale, Marvel Avengers now, because I wanted to do that before they try to shut stuff down, and the Pokemon on my handhelds, all the ROMs period on my handhelds, but that stuff don't really count except for I guess Final Fantasy 1, the first one, from technically the Pixel collection. But yeah, it's a lot, right? It's a lot. That's all the stuff I could just think of right now. But technically, if I pull out that list, then there's still like some of my side scroller stuff, like Hollow Knight I didn't finish, Guacamelee I didn't finish, and I want to finish these games. Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. You know, technically I still gotta go back into God of War Ragnarok and finish the last 2 or 3 Berserker fights. So I want to get the most out of some of these games, but I gotta literally stop. If I don't stop, then I'm just gonna keep, like, I might still keep buying if I can get the best sales, you know, or if there's a game that might be too big that I can't ignore just for the channel's sake, then I'll, like, you know, pull that up as well. But I can imagine Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is also going to be one of those games where you probably going to put 300 hours in.
Oh yeah.
Just sitting around doing stuff alone, because they already gave you the ability to basically MacGyver everything you can possibly MacGyver, basically. Creating all these type of Flintstone cars and boats and all that stuff. So yeah, I gotta put a hard stop on it, but more content is coming to the channel. Please forgive my lighting situation. I'm trying to figure out the lighting, but I will still put out content regardless of the lighting. And then actually you'll still see more content that's like audio based too. So the audio is fine. I got one of the best. Does it sound good? You know, I got one of the best, not headsets. You know what I'm saying? The best microphone in the business. But yeah, that's it. We are about to get up out of here. Enjoy the summer. Please get something nice and cold and drink it, like pop or something. Just enjoy it. It's gonna taste so good outside. Like, and go outside, touch some grass, take one of the handhelds outside with you. You don't even have to be an expensive one. Take one of the Game Boys out there with you. Enjoy outside. It is amazing. We're gonna have an amazing summer, amazing year for gaming. There's been some duds, but we still got like a lot of big hits. Like everything that I mentioned in that game of the year category, like if you look at it, we're talking 6 or 7 games there. That's enough to fill you up. These are all AAA games, you know, for the year. So that's not including things like maybe Hi-Fi Rush or a lot of those indie games. It's like over 40 indie games that I'm gonna like show on my channel and stuff that I've already shown already, and then there's gonna be more. So that's all I got for you here. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I will catch you on the next video. Expect a video coming out before the PlayStation Showcase, just for me to talk about some of the stuff I already talked about here, but I have an actual video for it, and you'll get to see my horrible lighting. That's going to be coming out in the next couple of days. We are out. Peace.